Orange, Texas. Okay. Will the collection system be on new or retrofit? Either way works, but if you're going to build a new house, you can design the rainwater system into it and you'll really never see it. I mean, you've got the gutters, and a lot of times in the columns, they'll run the rainwater system down inside the columns. You never see anything. Okay, what's the estimated cost? And can I do this myself or should it be contracted out? And are aesthetic restrictions involved? Okay. Okay, to answer these questions, we need to know how big is your roof area. Now, you can't expect to have, like I started out with 30,000 gallon storage. You can't have a 30,000 gallon storage and have like a 1,200 square foot roof unless it rains 60 inches a year. So you've got to balance your demands, and that's the other thing. What is your estimated demand? When I started doing mine, that's what I couldn't find. How much water do you use at your house? The average is about 60 gallons a day per person. Ours over the year, we've run about 56 gallons, 50 to 60 gallons a day for the house. That's everything. That's your laundry, your dishwasher, but everything in the house is low flow. Our washing machine used to be like 42 gallons a load, now it's 16 or less. The dishwasher, actually you use less water with the dishwasher than hand washing, because typically when you hand wash, you got soapy water and you wash the dishes and you rinse it off. You just leave the water running. You're using more water there than the dishwasher uses. And then of course all the commodes are low flow. And you know, you sit down and think, okay, so I flush the toilet 10 times a day, that's 20 gallons. A shower, I've got the little button on ours where the spray comes on and you turn it off, soap up and then rinse off. If you really try, you can take a shower for 2-3 gallons. I normally probably use 4 or 5 gallons. But like I said, you add all this up. Where's all this water going when people say they're using 160 gallons per person per day? I don't know, it's just waste. Okay, you need to know the rainfall patterns when you do it. I'll show you in a minute. And is the demand for in-home or outside water? And then, like I said, the average 60 gallons a day per person. People on rainwater systems normally use about 35 gallons per person per day. We've never used over about 25 annualized. Okay, and here is where I was talking about the 600 gallons per 1,000 square feet if you're going to water your yard. And again, you can design it into your system. You just have to understand what you're designing for. Okay, the surface area of your roof. Now, y'all remember the old A-frame houses like this? Well, you may have 1,000 square feet over here, 1,000 square feet of actual roof surface, but the rain doesn't care about the surface. It cares about the footprint. In other words, you could have 1,000, and only a 500 square foot footprint, plan, floor area. So for a single-story house, typical way to rough it out is take the floor space in your house, single-story, two-story, different. A single-story house, then go all the way around the house and add about 1.5 feet for overhang. And that will typically get you in the ballpark of what you have for collection services. Now, you want to stay away from a flat roof. You want a roof that's moderately sloped so that it flushes off any debris. And you'd be surprised how much dust and dirt gets on a roof. I've even had rocks in my first flush system, just gravel, and I think we had a little whirlwind or something that dumped it on the roof. But you need to, a flat roof, the water doesn't know where to go. Plus it does not wash off the contaminants, the bugs and stuff, leaves and stuff up there. So you need one that's sloped pretty good. Composition shingles, a lot of people say you don't want to use it, although we've been doing some looking at that. As long as the shingles are not impregnated with chemicals to stop mildew and stuff, they're probably all right. But a slicker roof, like metal roof or slate, concrete, they're probably better. You want to stay away from wood shingles because they've been impregnated with chemicals so they don't rot and they don't burn. Well, that water then takes those chemicals, and some of the chemicals is arsenic, away from you. You just want to stay clear of that. Okay. Now you need to know where you're at if you're in Texas. But you'll notice here that 60 inches down to about 8 inches. In Bernie, where I live, it's about, well, the records show 34 inches a year average for the last 103 years. So that's the first thing. Now, you don't necessarily want to design for the average. You want to design for drought to record conditions. But this is where you start. Okay, the next thing you look at is what do you expect a number of days without rainfall? Again, it varies from less than 50, probably 40 or so, out to well over 120. Where we're at in Bernie, it's closer to 60 days. Now, being conservative, I don't use that. Actually, it's about 90 days where we live in Bernie. I use 120 days because when I'm designing a system and I do not have a backup, I don't have a well or anything, I want to be conservative that I have the water. So I use 120 days with no rainfall. Okay. Now, we're going to do just a sample design for the domestic use. And again, if you want a lot of outside water, you have to add that onto what we're going to talk about here. So a sample design for a home with about 3 people, which is about the average in Kendall County, it's about 2.5 persons per household. But we go to 3. Using 35 gallons per person per day plus 45 gallon miscellaneous. And that miscellaneous is, people tell me, we're not going to water outside at all. Well, that's what you say. But you're going to wind up with pot plants, and like we've got a waterfall and a fish pond, and I feed water to deer. So you do use outside water. So anyhow, that comes up to 150 gallons a day. Now, in rainfall collection, our house, we've got 6,500 square foot of roof in the house and the garage. We can collect 4,000 gallons per inch of rain. But unless it is a very gentle rain with no wind blowing, you're not going to collect 100% of the water. So we assume you collect only about 80%. So looking at 80% of the collection gets you down to 500 gallons per 1,000 square foot per inch of rain collection. Okay, so if you use 150 gallons a day for 120 days, that's 18,000 gallons of storage capacity that you would need to weather that time period. Again, I rounded up to 20,000 gallons. Now, all year you would use 54,750 gallons. We know that an inch of rain on 1,000 square feet produces 623 gallons per 1,000. 80% efficiency, it's 500 gallons per 1,000. So annual collection would be 500 times whatever square footage times 34 inches that I'm using here, which means that for every 1,000 square foot of roof you had, you would collect 17,000 gallons of water in a year with a normal rainfall. Okay. Now, dividing the 17 into the 54 means that you need at least 3,200 square foot of roof area. And again, I round that up to 3,500 square feet, 3,500 square foot of roof. Okay, this sample design is based on low flow fixtures throughout the home and no outdoor water use. Additional storage volumes can, again, you can add more storage and more collection surface if you want to do a lot of outdoor watering. Okay, in summary, if you had 20,000 gallons in storage, you could weather a 120-day dry spell and still use 150 gallons a day. That is equivalent to the drought to record. Realistically, you should have a drought management plan to reduce water usage if it appears that we're in an extended dry period. Now last year, we knew we were in it, so I told my wife, we need to cut back and use only 100 gallons of water a day. Which we did, we hit 99.5, which is 100. So, and I'll show you what went on, okay? All right, when I designed the system, I had a hard time finding out how much water do you use in the house. So I said, well, let's look at it. The red line is 100 gallons a day. If you start out with 30,000 gallons of water in your cisterns, and this is just a bank account, it's just how you balance your books. It's the same thing. Rain is deposited in your bank account. Using it is a withdrawal. Anyhow, so I took the drought of record back for burning in the 50s, utilized that rainfall, and using 100 gallons a day, which excuse me, is the red line. And you'll see, if we would have had 20,000, well, we never even got down to 20,000, so we could actually live through that on 10,000 gallons. Now, I don't recommend that. Although I've seen people with 3,000 gallon storage capacity with 2 adults and 2 kids. But they're the kind that didn't use but like 10 gallons of water a day. What I'm designing for is a normal household. Okay, then I said, well, what if we used 150 gallons of water a day, which is a blue line, and you'll notice it got down to 10,000 gallons, which meant 20,000 gallons worth of storage would have carried you through that drought of record. And then I tried the yellows, 200 gallons a day, and you'd have been out of water a few times. Now since then,